Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Build Live from the brand new Oak Hill Works. How are we all doing this evening? I hope you are well. We are finally in the recording studio. We're not in my living room. And good evening, Corbs. How are you? I hope you are well. Yes. Look, you can even see here that these transfers are sat across the glass and across the workbench, nice and flat, because I have mounted the glass inside the new workbench. Although you'll also notice that my pinboard is currently just kind of sat on the workbench because I haven't got round to actually mounting it up on the wall yet. Can we get a tour? You can get a tour of what's done so far. Because, so for those that don't know, I spent all week on this making sure I could get it done. I knew that a week would be fine to get the place finished. But then Tuesday evening I got a call asking if I wanted to go have my COVID jab the next day. So I did, and it kind of wrote off Thursday for me completely. Good evening, Harry. Good evening, Heritage Railway Productions. How are you both? I hope you are well. So, my laptop is very close to me now. Look at that streamception. Rundle, big, bright white lights, obviously. The workbench now hits an end there and continues round behind me. We have a shelf above, which has big light on it. Actual plug sockets, not extension leads anymore. You know, this is still lit up under here because I have lights under the shelf. I also have a further shelf down here which is lit up and holds the all-important hydration vessel and the cardboard box that is the rubbish bin and the power for the microphone. Let's get that other light back on now. And then, if I go this way, you can see a part finished unit there, which is, of course, if I wrap around the light, that is where our spray booth is going to be, so that we can actually do spraying on the live stream. It's currently holding all the bits of decoration that we do not currently have up. So that's all my Skinley drawings, my paintings, my new Oak Hill Works sign, all sorts of fancy stuff. That cardboard box is the compressor for the airbrush, so that's already in there. We just need to get it all set up and get them. Oh, and just because you'll see down there right on the floor is an almost full set of MRJs, because everyone needs some MRJ. It is definitely the best of the modelling mags. And there is no more tripods. My big lights are mounted into the workbench. The boom arm for the camera is mounted on the workbench. So yeah, we have a studio and it's all ours. So much space. So there's more of my workbench looks like a bomb hit it. So spacious, everything at hand. Place for everything, everything has a place. So yes, good evening, Andy. How are you? I hope you are well. Good evening, Alexander. How are you? I hope you are well. Question: can you fit 2 people in there for visitors? Sat at the workbench? No, but actually in here, yes. I have planned it to be able to have visitors. It will require a slightly different setup to what we have for just me, but yes. And these shelves will be more organised than they currently are. Because, I mean, I'm not even going to pretend that that one up there is organised. Oh, and just for the sake of power, we have, you see, soldering iron is there. It's not plugged in yet because I need to punch another hole. There is power which will hold the soldering iron and the test track down there. And then there's even more power over this side. So we have lots and lots and lots of power. Plus there are 5 sockets over by the other unit where the airbrush will be. What you may have seen also up there is that behind the box with the airbrush in it is the 3D printer and the UV curing station. They will be getting a box up there and be hooked up to the ventilation systems. So yeah, I'm very excited to be in this space right now. Martian tripod eradication success. Exactly. Professionalism skill level 100. Thank you, Alex. I have tried my best. Starts whistling the eve of the war. That is actually, yeah. That is the one that always comes to my head first. Decent space, good to be in the studio. Nearly 2 years was well worth the wait. Thank you, Harry. I think so too. I am really happy to be in here. And hello, Bob. How are you? I hope you are well. Yeah. Finally in the actual studio. Oh, and I still have a lid full of purple paint. Does it look purple yet, or does it still look grey? We also, of course, have the saloon. It is here, which also has a purple floor in it. Does the floor look purple yet? Until it's grey to me. Neither. Oh, good. And what we also have, thanks to a certain Mr. the Mole, is a nurse. No, I can't bother to pull that out. Kind of lilac lavender, which isn't too bad. Oh, that's better than grey. Interesting studio. I especially approve the spray booth. Where in your house is this? And I approve of nurses. I thought you'd approve of nurses. So, as for where in the house, if I turn this lamp off, we might see. There is my back door, just over the laptop. And so that is my kitchen, going out the back door there. And we are just off to the side. Virgin Mary for a second. Grandmother's an auxiliary nurse. Nurse. I'm not going to try and do the voice for that. But with all that, for the first time, I would like to remind you all, hydration is important. Red, are you feeling alright? So yeah, we are best mug. It is, isn't it, Corbs? It is definitely the best mug. Look, I'm even going to plug the Terrier. You know you want the Terrier mug. And that says hydration is important. Exclamation mark merch in the chat. Every mug you buy helps pay for me to do stuff like build this studio. I'll tell you what, the channel hasn't made enough so far to pay for this whole studio in the whole time I've been doing it. So even if you don't want to go buy a mug, at least smash that like button for me. That genuinely would be appreciated right now. Chatbot being lazy again. I mean, it's there. I see it. It just might have taken its time. Chatbot does that sometimes. I think I'm getting some extra lag on this end with the chat because I'm seeing it appear on screen before it's appearing in the chat window. So it could be that that's affecting the chatbot. Also, how's my audio? Do I have any echo? Because I haven't gotten around to putting up the acoustic foam yet. So, yeah, that would be nice to know. I thought of buying a mug, but the handle is a coffee mug type, not a tea mug type. Yeah, I think that's the only type of mug Teespring do. Audio's good, little echo, not too bad. Okay, if it's only a little echo, the amount of foam I have should deal with it, because obviously, as you could tell, I've not got a huge amount of space behind me, so the foam will be going up from the height of the back of my chair up above to the height of the top of the fake walls and coming out as far as the end of the workbench. No significant echo, but acoustic foam will probably make it better. Excellent. Audio is okay for me. Brilliant. I second what James says. Okay, thank you very much, folks. That is very much appreciated. So I do have the foam. It's just with everything so far, I haven't gotten around to doing it. I've got a couple more jobs in here, such as the decoration, and there's going to be a shelf directly above here, so just above the top of the lights, that will hold South Park Quarry and Bright Helmstone, because they are coming to live in here, because why not? I only decided that today, so you know. So, shall we do something productive? And there is the chat bot just popped up on my screen, not in my chat yet, to say remember to like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff that YouTube loves. Do it now. Tell you what, we've had a great response from my review video of the four-wheelers, and the number of views we got is amazing, so thank you everyone that watched that. I really do appreciate it. And I have got, courtesy of the good lady Pullman Alex, some six-wheelers to review. Ah, look, you can see my face. There's a weird one for you. Face reveal. But there you go. So we do have some six-wheelers to review. Oh, if I do it now. That would be wonderful. Icing on the cake. Indeed, Andy. And there'll be nice tall ones like your one on top of your bookcase, since they'll be above my lights. So yes, productive things. We got a B1 that was very kindly donated to me. Did someone say cake? So I thought of you in Tesco the other day, James. I was walking along the bakery section, and just out of the corner of my eye, I noticed apple crumble cake. I just thought, crumble and cake? It's got to be James. Sounds like, oh, I do approve of crumble. Oh, I know you do, James. I know you do. I was tempted to get it, but I'd rather make it myself. So, there's that. Yes, so we have a B1 that was donated to me quite some time ago by a certain Mr. Mole, that needs to go into improved engine green, and was promised to him some time ago that it would. Very much enjoyed your review of the Hornby's Totally Not Stroudley's coaches. Best review of them. Must buy some. Thank you, Alexander. So it probably shows that most of my videos I don't write a script for. I don't really do any editing. I plan what I want to do. I sit down. I film it. It's done. The Hornby Not Stroudleys, I put well over 12 hours work into that video. 8 hours of which was the research. My pile of notes was quite extensive by the end of it. And I must say, I was very, very happy with the results. So I'm really glad people have enjoyed that video. And whilst I don't want to be a reviewer, I do look forward to doing the occasional thing like that, where I can put that effort in. I've just had the crumble. Yep, fair enough. My local Lidl does apple and cherry crumble cake, and very nice they are too. Excellent. Should definitely do a baking live stream. I proved extensive research. It's a very good, detailed review. Thank you, James. So yes, I promised Alex some time ago this would become number 177 Southsea in improved engine green. Please don't ever be a reviewer. Told you I don't want to be a reviewer. We've had that discussion. But I wanted to make sure when I did it, I would do it justice. So recently I was sent a link that I forgot to set up a chat command for. Oh, I'm sorry. To an eBay auction for someone selling transfers for a 4mm B1 with any name you wanted. So we have here transfers for Southsea. It does say, there we go, it can focus, and you can see it says Southsea. We also of course have the Stroudley number plates and builders plates from Ian at EB Models, because I mean you don't get nicer than Ian's Stroudley number plates for number 177 Southsea. So yeah, when I saw that, it's like, right, this is how Alex's model gets done, and gets done well. And you can see from the sheet there is a lot of spares. So because I don't think I need 4 cab sides. I certainly don't need 4 splashers with sandboxes and 4 without. So loads of spares there, which I'm very happy with. The sheet was £33, which is more than what I would normally pay for transfers. But at the same time, it kind of feels like my job to look at these LB&SC things, and I'm sure many of you would agree with that. I've just remembered I've left my photo over here, because of course I do have a photo of a B1 to sit and have in the background. I've left over here, so let me grab that. This is what I get for not putting up all the decorative stuff. Oh, I mean, that looks like the link to me, Linny. Are you sure you want to leave YouTube? Yes, that is indeed the link. Thank you, Linny. Your job's definitely looking at LB&SC things. I thought so. Is it going to be red? No, it's going to be improved engine green. Professional reviewers don't make believable reviews. Yours sounded honest. That's what I was going for. I don't want to be the sort of reviewer that does reviews that are paid for. As I've said many times, if I watch a review, I'd rather watch the small guy do the review because it's honest. And I very much am the small guy. So here we have a nice B1 in the livery that it's going in. And of course it is Gladstone, taken in 1982 outside the sheds at Sheffield Park. And I planned on having that picture there from the start, but I forgot to put it there. What were the B1s doing during your period in any case? I know what they were doing in the 1880s and I know what they were doing in the 1920s and 30s, but what were they doing in the 1910s? I believe they were on secondary services by the 1910s. My one will be pulling a secondary service through Hailsham. Well, one of my ones, because of course I have two. Glossy, yes, that was rather glossy. And hello TB Studios, how are you? I hope you are well. Let's try and find that link, having no luck. Well, it's a good job Linny found it then, isn't it? Prove nice pictures of B1s, they're the best pictures of B1s. Been lucky enough to see Gladstone in person, gorgeous engine. I have not. Especially on the Bluebell. Yes, nice pictures of B1s on the Bluebell is fantastic. Approve of B1s in person, in fact, as do I. I've never seen one though. I have never seen Gladstone because I've never been to the NRM, I know. Which secondary services, I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I did not do enough research. Gladstone's superb in the flesh, I'm sure she is. They were on Western Coastway duties in the 20s and early 30s. There was one at least based out of Eastbourne at the time, so it's possible it could have been going down that way. I have no idea which one of these is the right one. I've got two improved engine green tins. One of them is for airbrushing, one is for brush painting. That one makes a lot of noise. That one is now making less noise, but it was making just as much noise. So I'm hoping this is the right one. And we're going to have one for brush painting, because as I showed you, I have not set up the spray booth yet. Surprisingly, I have also seen Gladstone in person. Wow, aren't you lucky, Andy? As I say, I haven't. I really hope to get up there at some point post-COVID. Now that I'm vaccinated, or at least the start of, I've had the first jab. If I'm getting it, hopefully a lot more people are getting it, and it won't be long till we can start doing things again. I remember seeing NRM in 2011. I will get there one day. I'll have to come up north to see Gladstone and Box Hill. Indeed I will, Linny. It's worth seeing. Beautiful livery. It isn't it? And the D-class compound spinner. Yeah, all on my list of things I want to see, Alex. Last time I was at the NRM was in the 1970s. Well, that's still more recent than me. I'm not sure. That's still quite liquidy. I've seen no UK steam engines in person. I mean, I'm doing slightly better than that. Last time I went to the NRM, it was still in the roundhouse. Well, yeah, that was not so recent. There it is. Alex will be glad to know that I know where my blue tack is. Proof doing things again one day. We'll have to have an Oak Hill outing and visit Model E to have ourselves scanned for each other's layouts. That sounds like a fantastic idea, James. Sadly, Hardwick's in shielding these days, so can't do them all in one trip. That's what hotels are for. Is it true that William Stroudley was colourblind? No. No, it is not. That is a myth. Stroudley knew exactly what colour he was painting his locomotives. Why he named it Improved Engine Green is another question, but he knew what colour it was. I wouldn't want to ruin my layout by having a 3D me on it. Oh, but I want a 3D you on it. That's how old I am. Yeah, well, see, this is what I say about, the COVID jab. We must be returning to normal. Me in my 30s, if I'm getting it, Okay, admittedly I'm getting it because I'm ill, but that's not the point. Alex, you could have a 3D Gary. You could have a 3D me. I went in 2018 for my 25th. Very nice red. Well, I'm also in the States, so I only got that 060 or going to America. Canada, I like a 3D Mr. the Mole. Indeed. Wouldn't it be great, Lenny? Wouldn't fit on anyone's layout except my own. My wardrobe is too modern. Seen Wadden. Way! See, you've seen the important ones. You've seen the Terrier. So yes, what was I going to respond to? I was going to respond to something after I finished reading, and I can't remember what it was. So I can't, I guess. Now, so usually, repainting a loco, I would strip it all down. But this one, actually, there is a couple of spots here. But this one has been painted so well, I don't think it needs it. Other than, oh no, that one is nice and smooth. Other than some glue spillage around here. But yeah, Red, it's not about your wardrobe being too modern and whether you fit in. It would be nice to have a selection of people that I know on a layout hidden away. There's nothing wrong with 3D Alex Mole. I'll be happy to have one of each on my layouts. Exactly, James. You cannot fit 99 cells. One of my layouts set in 89. Surely you could wear trainers and a shell suit. Hell will freeze over before I step in front of a 3D scanner. Oh, that's no fun, Alex. Just ordered myself a couple of Oak Hill mugs so I can taste the new workshop and have coffee whilst watching in the future. Thank you very much, Bob. That is very much appreciated. I do love me the Oak Hill Hydration is Important mugs, and I do use this for my coffee every morning. So a couple of round blobs in the field and we'll see where you were. He's ordered a jeans denim jacket, a heavy metal shirt and a denim hat. Yeah, see, that'd be fine, Red. You'll fit right in on my layouts. Hold on, it's not compulsory, but if hell does freeze, there's a place on my platform for a team near you. And there's a link to my Twitter account, where that definitely worked for 89. Just time travel there. No need to make a lot of bridges. Need to make a lot of bridges for the trolls. Thankfully, we don't get too many of those around here. So yeah, I can't actually separate Loco and Tender. I could when Alex sent it to me, but it has been DCC fitted, which is rather good because it is actually the original Gem model with a Gem motor in it. I believe it's a lens gold decoder it's got. And I hate the fact I'm going over such a nice paint job. It really was done very, very well and to a very high standard. But it was done wrong. Because why would you want one of these in Southern when you could have it in improved engine green? See, it looks better already, doesn't it? Not rubbing it down first? Nope. I am not. It's got an extremely smooth finish to it. Or, you know, like the lining doesn't stick out, you know what I mean? And it should be okay for taking paint. I have certainly painted over surfaces that were less than this. So I want its oven perhaps modelling the West Coast way in the 1920s. Nah, no excuse. I mean, obviously it's good that these people still have B1s. But they're in the wrong livery. one of the 5 questions science still can't answer. One side one colour, one side the other. That won't work once you get to the top of the boiler though. Look amazing in IEG. It will, won't it? And I've already got one in umber. So it will be nice to have the pair. And the umber one I have modified to have the marsh boiler on it, rather than keeping the kit as designed. What is the livery colour of that loco? So we are putting on it Phoenix Precision, LB&SCR, Stroudley, Improved Engine Green. So the livery that it was designed to go in, and Stroudley really cared about aesthetics, and his liveries and locos really did go well together. And they never looked as good in any other livery. How long did the writing take to switch over their liveries? It depended. A lot of the time they were reasonably quick at doing it. But if you look at it on a per loco basis, there were still Improved Engine Green locos going around 10 years, oh, well, 12 years in fact, for in one case, after Marsh Umber became the livery. I don't think B1s look good in any liveries they wore, but IEG was the best. Umber did suit them though. They did indeed look good in every livery they wore. But they looked best in Improved Engine Green. They looked good in olive green, not quite so good in umber, but IEG was the best. IEG's always the best. So not a photo of an E3 and a Z-Class late into 25. Had the Southern even picked its final liveries by 25. Because of course the Southern had some experimentation with liveries at first, including painting a couple of Brighton K classes into umber with Southern written on the tender. Which of course is a livery they never wore in Brighton ownership. Wish there was a ready to run B1s, I'd probably butcher a kit build repaint. Well, say with these transfers that came up on eBay, this should be a significantly easier repaint than it would have been otherwise. And who knows, one day there may well be a B1 ready to run. I'd be very surprised if there was never a ready to run B1 released. I think it's more of a question of who would you want to release it, rather than do you want it released. Another locomotion commission that also has normal versions. Indeed, that's what I can see happening for it, Alex. Because I always suggest it to the Rapido on their website. Yes, very much do that, because of course Rapido would be my preferred manufacturer for a loco like this. Look at the job they did on the Sterling single, for example. They would make a fantastic B1. Of all the manufacturers, they would certainly be my first choice for a loco of this elegance. And I'd happily pay the Rapido premium for it. Spotted one of these once painted discussing aubergine colour. Why the hell did anyone paint it purple? That's an interesting choice, yeah. Locomotion and rails made by Bachmann or Rapido. Yeah, very likely. Expect someone will make Gladstone for the MRM, partially due to the pre-grouping coaches. I mean, who knows? Because of course, when these things were new, they would have pulled Stroudley's four-wheel coaches. So it's quite possible that having some ready-to-run ones out there will encourage some manufacturers. And also suggest D1s and i3s to Rapido. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I've got both of those things. I've plenty of i3s, but go ahead and suggest these things, everyone. Right, let's catch up with chat quickly. Lots of time. I mean, with more coaches of pre-group and realize more logos from these companies, indeed. But you know, there is exactly the right coaches for these out there now. Whether Hornby want to admit that's what they are or not. Lots of D1s and i3s are the best type of D1s and i3s. There are indeed coaches to go with it. Purple and orange. No. That is coming alive in that livery. Thank you, Bob. Dark purple would look cool. No, I'm not one for purple on a loco. No purple and white, thankfully. I mean, that's okay. Do we need more LB&SCR classes? Some more. We do need some more LB&SCR classes, especially some more tender locos and more IEG locos. Exactly, Alexander. Talking of D1s and i3s, I still haven't heard back from Seth about my order for kits. The Southeastern Finecast is now, so for Southeastern Finecast you now need to talk to Squires. Details have been posted on the, I believe it's the Newcast Partners thread on RM Web. Squires very much do have everything now. Newcast Partners is staying with Dave of Southeastern Finecast. They have not taken that over. But yeah, it is Squires that you need to speak to now, so it might be worth dropping them an email. There was a logo painted purple and white. Ugh. Not OG, no. Does this B1 have the correct number of lamp irons? 4. It does indeed. 3 along the buffer beam, 1 on the top of the smoke box. Well meaning both the Hornby one and Hatton ones. Yeah, but the Hornby ones are Brighton coaches. They are Stroudley coaches. LMY stuff would be cool. Yeah, but the Hornby ones are Stroudleys, not LMY. I know I've heard back from them initially and they said they were just sorting things out, but I haven't heard anything since. This was weeks ago. Well, wouldn't hurt to email them again. Because if it is weeks, then like I know they are responding to people because their email, there has been some verbatim stuff quoted from them on RM Web. Wrong lamp iron should be 1 on top of smoke box, 1 above the coupling hook, 2 on the wing plate. Ah! So this doesn't have any on the wing plate, but it has them above the buffers. But go look at this RM Web thread when I get a minute. I'm hoping they sort themselves out, as I like to have go building some SCF kits at some point. Yes, indeed, they are good kits to build, and I am glad they are staying in production. And I'm hoping that being sold to a company like Squires will keep them going for a long time. You can see them on Gladstone as is now. In fact, check your photos, Raw Train logo and are, I think. Yeah, I can see them here. Well, I can see this one. I can't see the one on the other side. So, yes. You are indeed correct. This also has the wrong front coupling because it's got a screw link on the front when it should have a free link. Conveniently, when moving stuff off the work, or when dismantling the workbench in the living room, I found underneath it an extra pack of free link couplings that I didn't know I had. So we have more free links. No more screw links though, unfortunately, which is the ones I'm actually really low on. Proof of keeping going for a long time. Indeed, James. Vaccine. Yep, the vaccine. I am vaccinated. You should be too. When you remember, everyone, it is your duty to get vaccinated when you get it offered to you. Just think of it like you're doing your part to save the world. You're becoming a superhero. NWR, Great Britain, a lilac kind of shade. Fair enough. Stabby, stabby. Indeed, stabby, stabby. Are you going to mount those very LB&SCR discs with crosses on your lamp irons? I am going to mount some discs, but not with crosses, as the Hailsham route did not have any cross discs, just plain white ones. In fact, for my period, it only gets one disc on the top of the smoke box. And the box says, remember kids, hydration is important. Look, you can see the whole mug now. I never used to be able to do that. Showing those discs are very characteristically LB&SCR. They are indeed. Royal Train would have discs with crosses, would it not? If this was hauling the Royal Train, it would look as Gladstone does now, because that is in full Royal Train get-up. Looks much better already. Thank you, Red. All you need is an excuse for the monarch to visit Hailsham. The last monarch we had visit was George III. Everyone will have a very similar superhero origin story. They will, won't they, Andy? Same way the dying ones were very LSWR. Yes, yes they were. George III, gosh, a long time ago then. What did Mad King George do at Hailsham? I can't remember why he was here, but he spent 2 nights staying at a, of all things, a local inn that was obviously renamed for King George after his visit, and is now a Wetherspoons, still named after King George. In fact, the whole street is named after him now. That was way too much paint. Mad King George must to ban. I mean, he was mad. Have you not seen him in Blackadder? King Penguin. Also, little monarchs, I don't suppose anyone knows if King Henry VII 6014 appeared in BR Blue. I do not. Local legend grew up near Burnham Beaches, and it said Queen Victoria sheltered under a particular oak tree there. Interesting. Before we talk purple locomotives, does anyone else remember when 5212 was covered in wallpaper back in '69 for a TV advert. I have seen many pictures of that, yes. Not going to get into this. I just wanted to make the Blackadder reference, to be honest, Alex. We have a manor house 20-ish miles away that was supposedly visited by Henry VIII on numerous occasions, although the current owner does not believe it actually happened. Oh, Blackadder. Blackadder's fantastic, yes. See, I needed to make the Blackadder reference. Obviously Blackadder is very funny, but their interpretation of history is suspect. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, if anyone gets their history lessons from Blackadder, they've got some real problems. Found out last night, apparently most of my relatives came from Sheffield. Probably explains why I like industrials so much. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I do blame it for a number of myths still being popular circulation. I mean, it certainly doesn't help. Thomas Paine is buried in the church where my parents got married. Had the reception in the house where he was born. Very interesting. Then there's horrible history. Isn't horrible history reasonably accurate with its facts, obviously presented in a over-the-top style way? And I could be very wrong there, but I thought they were actually quite good on what they taught you. I've just realised what paint I forgot to get out the pot. I have no paint for the valances. Which go a nice claret colour. They're quite bright in that photo, but yeah. Horrible History's TV show release does tend to go out of its way to stay accurate. That's what I thought. Grew up with the Horrible Histories books, loved them at the time, but reading them now, they are more horribly biased. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Most history stuff is biased. I thought they were... Yeah, well, does bias prevent accuracy in all cases? Yes, it certainly doesn't help it. But is it more a case of their bias is based on documentation that was biased? If you get my meaning. So they were talking factually, it's just the facts were wrong. I know what I'm trying to say and I'm hoping it makes sense. You know what I say? History is written by the winners. Indeed. I think it's quite clear the author had specific political views and outdated images of some historic events. Fair enough. I will take your word on that. So, I'd rather history written by kittens. I mean, I've not heard of a kitten being particularly good at writing, if I'm being honest. There'd be more details of balls of wool and fireplaces. I'm sure there would. So, how are we all doing this evening? What are we up to whilst we work away on South Sea here? Do we have any interesting projects on the go? Whilst I find my Stroudley Claret. You're not Claret. LB&SCR, Valance and Frames Claret. That'll be the one. Servo point motors for the Engage 1980s layout. Ah! Excellent. Getting point motors done is always a good step. I remember back in '85, prior to its overhaul in secret, Signature was painting up Spoof BR black lined livery as an April Fool. Didn't go down well in certain areas. Yes, and it was only painted on one side, and it was painted with paint that could be washed off easily. But yes. Funnily enough, I'm working on B1 in IEG, but virtually. Hey, I approve of improved engine green B1s. Manual Wardle, E-Class CAD, followed by O-Gauge LB&SCR gas tank CAD later. Excellent. I approve of Manning Wardle and LB&SCR. I'm sure you're surprised by both of those things. Eventually I need to find time to sort out my K-Class drawings for Tom. I was planning on doing it today, but then stuff happened and I became surprisingly busy. Just found out what loco was watching the LNWR coal tank in a video I watched. Well, hey, always good knowing things. Had a weird black livery, but it's cool hard to tell what it was. An LNWR livery is what a lot of people call BR livery. And what was it? Indeed. Yes, I found time finally. These two are looking spectacular. Excellent. Excellent indeed. So we're going to have to be really smart with this. Taffy Valley 02. Oh, very nice. The one April Fool that really got people going was folks believed there was going to electrify a section between Beauty and Kidderminster. So, Stroudley locos. All of the valance and frames were claret, as was the buffer beam in improved engine green. And you had a lined section in the middle which had the vermilion that you would expect on a buffer beam inside it. So my thinking here is we paint all the claret round, put the transfers on, because there are transfers for the buffer beam here, and then paint the vermilion afterwards. Because they are only very thin and there's no way I'm getting it right otherwise. That's my thoughts anyway. Quite whether it works out that well or not is another matter. I'd rather you didn't fall all the way over. Oh, nice to do like Taff Valley stuff. Taff Valley loco is great. Taff has done best at Wales pre-grouping companies preservation, mainly because it actually has something preserved. 2 tenths to be precise, yeah. Would you not be better painting the vermilion before the transfers? Use the transfers to hide any ragged edges. Yeah, but I'm not going to get the positioning of the vermilion right. That's the problem. Just realised I should have painted the wheels. They should be in improved engine green. 2 down, yep, 2. It also had some carriages that had reasonably Stroudley-ish ends on them, with the duckets right at the end and looping up the side. And I definitely didn't use that fact against someone earlier today. Wish there was more bigger L&Y stuff around. Well, I think we all wish for more preserved. There's always something that it would have been nice to be preserved that wasn't. More terriers, for example. Because you can't have enough terriers. Now this, unfortunately, does not come out, which is going to make things fun. And yes, I have tried. Leader as a monument of what not to do. Yes, yes, very much so. Kittens. There's no Barry, no Cambrian, no Rhyming, no Taffau got logos saved. It's heartbreaking. It is, isn't it? And of course, as weird as it is to say it, mentioning terriers, we only have as many terriers preserved as we do because of a certain Dr. Beecham. Who personally intervened to stop one being scrapped. Here we go, the classic for leader being nothing but a failure. So, the one being painted 1830s to 19. You added, I did add the command. Excuse my ignorance, but in what period would the loco be operating? This one is in its. This livery is its earliest livery from the 1870s to 1880s through to the early 1900s. But yeah, the last one of these was withdrawn in the 30s, 32 I think. Gladstone was withdrawn and preserved in 27. Wish these three got saved personally, find it fascinating. That would have been a good one. Cheers. And his Beeching did good. I think my ears misheard. Probably by mistake. Hurrah. Our hero Beeching. No. Beeching very much saved a terrier on purpose. He saved Fenchurch from the scrap heap. The Bluebell wanted it. It was there. They could not afford it. Therefore, BR were going to scrap it. And Beeching made them not scrap it. He said, no, why are we scrapping this loco? The Bluebell Bluebell want this loco. Why are we scrapping it? And so the BR board, their response was, because they can't afford it. To which he was like, well, and they can raise some money and they can afford it, but they won't have any money soon enough. We need it gone. And Beechin would not allow them to scrap the loco, and made sure it was tucked away in a very inaccessible location so that they couldn't get it out to scrap it until the Bluebell finally raised enough money to buy it. And it was still in good enough condition that it drove there under its own steam. Believe the B1's finally withdrawn 33. It's 33, was it? Fair enough. Must not go on beach around. Beeching was pro-preservation. He opened South Devon Railway. He was also a patron of the Bluebell. He was really involved in it. Beeching was not a villain. How hard is it to understand? Do your research, people. Alex is correct. Beeching was not a villain. First person you know made you. The one that makes me laugh is Fire Queen, which only survived because they forgot it was there. But yeah, but Beechin very much was not the villain. Beechin was a businessman hired to write a report, and he did so. The villain of the story was Ernest Marples, as everyone should know. Beecham was not the villain, he was unfortunately made the fool guy. Ha ha! Red paid attention to my lecture the other day. Marples, of course, who was such an upstanding and wonderful citizen that he definitely didn't own a road construction firm and also be the Minister of Transport. He definitely didn't award loads of contracts to his own firm. He definitely didn't have viable railways ripped up to be replaced with roads. And under no circumstances did he run away to France to avoid having to pay a tax bill to the government because they were chasing him. That none of those things happened. I mean, a couple of them may have happened. It's possible all of them happened. Okay, all of those things happened. He did live out his last years in exile in France, avoiding paying a tax bill. This is exactly the type of historical myth that I talk about. People just believe whatever they hear instead of looking things up for themselves. Indeed, Alex. Road bad, train good. Well, in some situations. It's an example of abuses inherent in concentration of power in the hands of the state as inevitable in nationalisation. Yes. Until we consider the fact that the man was also very anti-nationalisation. Marples is your archetype corrupt minister and Beecham was a perfect fool guy. Indeed he was. He played the fool guy so well that all these years later people still believe he was guilty. I'm impressed at this coupling holding itself out here. Getting into politics here. We are starting to get into politics. I'm trying to avoid it because I think it's possible to comment on the person and not necessarily the politics. But yeah, there are lines starting to be crossed, definitely. Marples is certainly one of those figures, though, that I think you can say, yeah, he was an evil, dodgy guy, regardless of what side of the political spectrum you are on. Well, I started talking about GT3 and locos we wish they saved. Time for a hydration break. That's a good call there, Bob. Hydration breaks are very important, and my hydration vessel is empty. Technically, I was talking about one single man, not the political landscape at the time. Exactly, Alex. That's how I was viewing it. Marples was corrupt and the entire government of the time were bad are two very different statements, and I am only making one of them. Indeed, Bob, you must have known. So, yes, as Bob says, hydration is important. People just believe whatever they hear instead of looking things up for themselves. There are much more modern examples of this, but no policy here. So, yeah. There are indeed much more modern examples of that, including that one that we're not mentioning. Definitely didn't just put a big bit of claret on the side of the tank there. As is apparently taking the camera out of focus to say that. Yes, okay. It's all the heat from those new lights. It must be. It probably doesn't help that we're obviously in a reasonably small room now. In fact, I can't remember what the total measurement is this way, but from that wall, not this board, not my fake wall behind it, but the wall behind my wall to the wall behind me, is a total of 44 inches. And my wall, I believe, is about 3 inches thick, possibly slightly more in total. So by the time we've got this here, adding a bit more, there is from here to the wall behind me about 40 inches. Hope there's plenty of ventilation as well as hydration. There is indeed plenty of ventilation in here. I have, on that side of me, the door into the kitchen, and on that side of me, below the workbench, is a vent through into the living room, which means I have full circulation in here. I've also added extra venting on that side for if I close the door, which I have no plans on. But if I did, I've still got ventilation going all the way through. See, occasionally I think and use my brain. I'm still impressed by this coupling holding itself straight out. Because, much like hydration, ventilation is important. Now, this is where it gets awkward. Because this is not a kit that is easy to disassemble. Not because the kit isn't easy to disassemble, but because of how I've wired in the DCC. And the chassis needs painting. PPE because eyes are useful. What we do, it's just took its time to appear. So yeah, those need to be claret, including behind the wheels. And I'm not sure how well, albeit with an errant apostrophe. Indeed, because I think I wrote that command after a live stream one night. So I did get an errant apostrophe because I wasn't particularly awake. That one we can get behind like that. I'm going to wash this brush quickly. I approve of being awake. Yes, being awake is helpful. Talking of writing things and stuff, I believe I found something on the internet written by you the other day, James. On a totally unrelated front. Yes, you. Because I have a lot of friends in the legal profession. And one of them linked to, on LinkedIn, put to an article written by a Mr. James Petts. And I have always put you down as the very well-educated, probably in that sort of field person. Posted by someone else, but written by you and crediting you. I cannot remember what it was for the life of me, but it had a link back to a legal firm in London on a page about James Petts. A very impressive page, I must say, about Mr. James Petts. That is the same James Petts, then thank you. Well, I say the things I read, I have written articles for LinkedIn from time to time. Ah, see, there we go. I can't even remember the name of the firm now, but I do remember reading it and being very, very impressed and thinking, this is the level of intelligence and professionalism I expect from what I know about you. Kind of thing to say. I'd be interested to know what article it was that was managed to circulate so widely. Well, as I say, I have friends in the legal profession. In fact, the specific friend who mentioned it on LinkedIn is not only, I think he's a junior barrister now. I think that's his title. I'm not 100% on that. But he also owns the model shop in Eastbourne. Which, of course, is how I know him. But yeah, I'll have to look through my history and let you know what article it was. An intriguing combination of occupations, isn't it just? So he borrowed the money from his mum to buy the model shop, and then worked in the model shop so that he could, and kept that running, so that he lived in the flat above the shop and kept the shop running to pay his university degrees for his law degree. So now that he is practicing law, he doesn't actually work in the shop anymore, but he does still own it. It's very interesting, thank you. Not a problem, James. Very interesting. He's an enthusiast himself. He is indeed. He very much is. I'm not sure how much time he has for it these days, working through the lower ranks of law. But yes, I used to go in there and took trains with him for hours. Every day. Does he practice in London or locally to you? The last time I had a proper chat with him, he was practicing in Eastbourne, but he worked for a firm that had offices in London. And I can't remember who it was. Person love Bluebird carriage interior pictures. Carriage interior pictures are very good. All those lamenting lack of carriage interior pictures, enthusiasts seem for some inscrutable reason to concentrate on almost exclusively on the exterior of trains. Yes. Right, I'm going to bed, getting days, I need to get up early for work. Good night, see you guys tomorrow on Discord. Good night, Red. Speak to you tomorrow. So you paint the underframes, Claret, does that mean Gladstone's incorrect? Her frames are in black at present. Yes. All the documentation says frames were claret. Models have been released with both claret frames and black frames because I don't think there was a complete definition. But I've certainly seen photos where the underframes very clearly match the valances. But of course we're talking black and white, so that's not necessarily a very good way of judging them. But yes, all the documentary evidence says the frames should be claret. Free Jones also seems to be big steamy things at the front. Well, the interesting rolling stock gets ignored. Again, that is very true, Linny. Not red, not red. Travs, even recent pictures like 1980s have this problem. They do, don't they? It seems to be an ongoing problem. Even recent pictures. It's hard to find photographs of the interior of NSE Mark IIs. They're only NSE, no one minds. Preservation liveries very often need to be taken with a pinch of salt. Indeed, that is true. Sorry, just like cow. Yes, I stepping cows was very interesting. Good evening, just tuning in. Interested to see you paint straight over the old livery. Good evening, Matt. Yes, I have indeed painted straight over the old livery. The old livery was very well applied and had no lumps and bumps in it. So it was nice and easy to just say, you know what, I could strip this down, but chances are I'm going to break apart very nicely painted loco if I do. Very nicely built loco, sorry, if I do. So we're just going to paint straight over it. I have done so before, but only where I've got a smooth finish to start with. I would not do so if I had a rough finish or lining that was going to be seen through it. In this case, I was quite happy that was not going to happen, so I thought, well, to save the possible ruining of a very nicely built kit, we'll paint straight over the livery. Big steamy things at the front there. Indeed, of course, that is the best excuse. That is a good excuse, isn't it? But I always find the lack of cab interior photos quite irritating. And in fact, the only reason I ever got to drive a P-Class was because I was trying to get some cab interior photos. And was a bit cheeky whilst I was there. Oh, that's annoying. That's very annoying. Never mind. If I unscrew this one, I can move it out the way. See, I do sometimes know what I'm doing, he says, not really sure of what he's doing. Nearly halfway through the wire of my layout, quadrangle 18 of 32. Excellent! I approve of progress. Albeit 15 and 17 are not yet complete, and 18, 20 and 22 are all partly done. All are very unequal amount of work. Well, yes, as does happen with these things, but that is excellent progress. I also approve of progress. I am glad to hear you also approve of progress. If I'd known this scenario was set at night, I would not have downloaded. My God, is it boring? Driving along and you don't even have any scenery to look at. Blooming typical. Someone's got to drive the night train, Alex. When the N-gauge layout is wired in and tested, when Pico released their ball head slips and crossings, when workmen visiting people's houses is a thing again. Not much left to be able to get double gauge layout baseballs built and installed. Yeah, not much at all that we're waiting on for that then, James. That is if the underground layout doesn't need to be built first. Well, yeah. So, talking of these things with double O and these slips and such forth, James, there is a thread, again on RM Web, of someone making some point kits for double O gauge that are very nice looking and will fit with Pico ball head. Large double O gauge is at least close to the interest of people in the 90s N gauge. Well, I suppose for the most part that is true, yes. What sort of kits for double O gauge? Points and crossings. He will very shortly be releasing his first point kits. They are really easy to build by the looks of it. I'm trying to think what it's called. I think you'd really enjoy them, James. British fine scale? Yes, that sounds right. I do believe you are correct there. That's what I use for my N-gauge layout. Excellent. Yes, of course he does have N-gauge as well. So yeah, he's releasing double O gauge soon. For the benefit of Pico ball heads, removing the track kits. These are, honestly, these look better than Pico. I'm sure these are going to be better than the Pico ball head stuff, looking at them. And he's based in Brighton, so you know, there's always that plus going for him as well. I'm thinking I might put off the rebuilding of Oak Hill for the sake of using them and having my points for Oak Hill actually having been made in Brighton. Groove Alex, I was hoping to get away from the tedious task of building track for my double O gauge layout. That's fair enough. I didn't know that Wayne was a Brightonian. Indeed he is. Hurrah, I think I finished my Westinghouse pump. Excellent. You'll be glad to know that this one is not accurate. Yes, but there has always been kits for British ball for fine scale ball head track. Pico is covering the market for those with us valued the last shred of our sanity. The build a main gauge track, bear in mind all the fiddle yards are all Pico took from April until October last year. I mean, I don't see that as a problem personally. You pumped me up, Lily. So Alex, if you saw the kits, these are very different to the kits that are available at the minute. You wouldn't like them, the sleeper bases are 3D printed. See, that might be able to give you 3D printable file for an accurate B1 Westinghouse pump scene. Why? Hydration is important. It's really, really hot in here. I thought you might say that, Alex. Talking of 3D printed things and Alex's absolute hatred of everything 3D printed. If I move these two boxes that I put in the way, I literally put them there as I was preparing to go live. Oh yeah, and this that I put on top, out of the way. Again, as I was preparing to go live. I have here a box. And we have a future project here. Once again, from the kindness of Mr. Mole, Captain Baxter. The Bluebells Fletcher Jennings logo. 3D printed. Double O gauge ones look a bit different. The N gauge ones have CNC milled bases. Ah, interesting. Free long jumper for short pin. Put a picture in there. Didn't realise those kits were made in Brighton. I'm only along the coast in Peacehaven. Makes me want to consider using them in future once released. Yes, they are local, Matt. God, Peacehaven, you're what? 45 minutes from me? Yeah, 45 minutes from me in Peacehaven. So so I'm also quite local to you, Matt. I used to go to Peacehaven multiple times a week. These ones appear to have been soldered on, or at least stuck on with better glue than the one on the engine, because they don't just want to pull off. That's a shame. That is very much a shame. Look, I've even got a Pug to donate its chassis to Baxter, because that's what the kit's designed for. So in the near future we're going to have a Captain Baxter to build. Maybe we should commission a set of 00 3D printed figures, all of us as a group, set as passengers on our layout. This was mooted earlier actually, Bob, and I quite agree. I think that's a fantastic idea. That there are some that don't agree and have said they would not like to do it. But interesting. Yes, indeed, I am in. Well, my exhibition layout of Hailsham is where I am, Matt. So yeah, 45 minutes ish. Hydration is still important. You're just down the road. For some, C1. Well, I wasn't going to help you, Alex. No, these ones are really well stuck on and they do not want to come off. And I do not want to put too many in fact, I've put no fingerprints over my paint. That's gone quite well. I'll leave the tender wheels for now and see if I can get them off using a proper method at some point. Trouble would be the 00 figure would be bigger than me in real life. I'm fine without any way. Oh, I'm fine without. Out of the way. I remember. I do indeed remember, Alex. I do indeed. I'll just have to model you out of a figure I've already got. I'm sure I've got someone with a big bushy beard. It's another Blackadder reference for those that didn't get it. 1-to-1 rate 176. Ah, well, obviously not in this case, James. So, since those don't want to come off, let's get some improved engine green on the wheels. Oh, did the Tesla stores not make it to heaven this year? Apparently the new version of the Apple phone has LiDAR as an option. Really? That's quite cool. Also, Hot Fuzz reference. Oh yes, it is a Hot Fuzz reference as well, isn't it? Car. Excellent. I'm glad for that one. All the references to all the things. Cat Fuzz greater than Hot Fuzz. Great big bushy beard. See, I remember it now. References. You're not going to find any commands that way, James. To wear my Great Western Platform staff uniform. Well, hey. What era of staff uniform do you have, Bob? Because obviously the Great Western one went on for quite a while. So, wheels. Wheels. 1930. Ah, excellent. Very nice. See, one day I'll finally make it up to Arlie and I'll see you in your uniform. At least I hope I will. I'll be very disappointed if I come up there and it's not a day that you're on. Authentic too. Excellent. I approve of wheels. Very useful in a locomotive. They are indeed. And yes, you definitely have yourself scanned in that uniform. Yeah. You should definitely do that, Bob. So, you know, Stroudley was a right pain with his liveries, including in the wheels. Because you see, despite the fact I've painted the balance weights in improved engine green there, but they weren't, they were painted olive. Only they were painted in such a way that the spokes were painted to continue through the balance weights. So you paint your balance weight olive and you need to paint your improved engine green spokes all the way through it. Must have been smaller built in those days, fits me perfectly. I'm usually in the shrubbery now though. Fair enough. At least it's not the SCCR where you have to line the wheels. I see, all you do there is you get the wheel turning and you just put your paintbrush against it as it's turning. As long as you hold your paintbrush steady, you get a lined wheel. I know they were lined up the spokes as well, but we're ignoring that. In fact, when I do SCCR wheels, I ignore the fact they were lined altogether. But that's just me. It is 20 to 11. We are now over halfway through the first live stream. Didn't think the LB&SCR line the wheels, only the balance weights and IEG. Yes, only the balance weights and IEG, but we're also talking about, James mentioned SCCR, where the wheels are lined. So yes, we are over halfway through the first live stream out of the new recording studio. I'm quite happy with how the recording studio is performing. What does everyone else think? Do let me know. So the first steps towards actually building this studio were taken in December. It has taken till now to have everything in place and able to do it. It has required much modification of many things, most of them not actually in the studio. But I'm so glad I did it. The new studio seems great. Thank you, Harry. I am looking forward to having the spray booth properly set up and being able to do some spraying on camera. I should hopefully have that up in time for the next project we are painting. Studio equals, in fact, the studio literally equals thumbs up because I can get more of my hand on screen. Resolution on my screen is much more defined with perfect lighting. Ah, well, yes. That would be my giant lights above me. Because, of course, I have two of them to try and reduce shadowing. And they are pointing at an angle from behind me rather than being sat in front of me as the old ones were. And being photography lights, they are white rather than warm white that the old ones were. And the size of the bulbs in these things, they're huge. The marked improvement, the transition with the lighting last week eased us all into for the new goodness. Yes, of course we did have the new lights last week, and I'm glad they have gone down well. They were remarkably cheap for what they've done. They were £40 for the pair, including spare bulbs. And they are absolutely fantastic. There is a hair there. We do not want a hair on our wheels. There is another one over here. But yeah, actual white lighting is something that I have wanted for a while, and I'm so glad I got it. How about rabbits? No rabbits either. Shave the wheels. Hair's come out of scale, indeed. And there's a link to my Instagram from the bot. It's really interesting, my Instagram. I sometimes post advertisements for the live stream on there. That's genuinely about it. I can't remember the last time I posted anything that wasn't an advertisement. So I'm going to ask the inevitable question that I already know the answer to, but I've got to ask it anyway. Do we all want a video tour of the recording studio to go up on the channel as a video? Obviously, once I've done the spray booth. In fact, I could put my existing spray booth there and do it with that. And of course, here come the yeses. First one from Lily. It was kind of inevitable, I knew that was coming. So I've got a shelf to put up. I see no good reason not to. It's a long way of saying yes, Alex. You realise yes is much easier to type. I've got another shelf to put up in here for storing the layouts on. Or two of the layouts. And I've got the decorative items to put up. So loco drawings, posters, postcards, etc. That should all get done tomorrow, after which I can bring my spray booth in here, put that up, set up the airbrush so it's actually how it would be. Oh, and of course, put up the bit of the studio that's actually important that I forgot, because also over here, with my decorative stuff, get out from under there, is the very much not actually decorative control panel for controlling the live stream, which I forgot to put up. It's time for bed, as everybody said, so I'll say good night and leave your sight. I'll be here next week. Good night, Paderborn. Thank you for coming. Sleep well. Don't work too hard. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Thomas, how are you doing? I hope you are well. You join us here in the new recording studio. We're not in my living room anymore. Actually, the studio. It's a bit weird, the fact I now have a recording studio in my house, and I also love it very much. Right, cheers. Ordered myself a Loco Drive Duchess set recently. Ooh, very nice. I approve of ordering yourself stuff. Stuff is the best thing to order. I read that off the screen and had finished reading it before it came up in my chat window. This is terrible, YouTube. Also, glad you're enjoying your office. It's not an office, it's a recording studio. It has big lights and everything, and a camera. But it is really cool. Another one about to go to the land of Nod. Cheerio. Good night, Ian. Thank you for coming. Always a pleasure to have you here. Out of interest, what paintbrushes do you use? I use some reasonably cheap, but not overly cheap, but not expensive ones I found on eBay. And they do pretty much every size down to triple O, so I've got a massive selection of them. And I think I got something like 16 brushes for £20. And I could pick up any combination of brushes I wanted out of that. So yeah, I thought that was quite a good price, and they really have lasted quite well. I'm sure they're going to be they're not going to be the best brushes ever, but as you can see from this, they do the job really well. Hydration still important. The studio is warm. Wait for the rain evermore. Good night, paddleboard. With this new studio entertainment, have we got to get out before the national anthem is played? No, we still turn into a pumpkin. But it is good, isn't it? Noise brush wise, I get soft brushes from the range, typically a pack of 5. Well, if they work, they work. So that's an R1 I'm using now. So that's far from the smallest ones I've got, and they are a decent range of brushes. So there's a triple O. So they do go down to the small sizes, and they're very nicely tipped. They do well for me. I find the Works also do quite good cheap brushes. Interesting. Well, I liked the fact I could pick the individual brushes I want and get whatever combination I want. So I got triple O, double O, 1, 2 and 3 twice because I could. Pretty sure that's what I got. I know I got them all twice. But yeah, it was rather annoying when I came to record tonight, came to set up tonight and realised this wasn't on the wall. Because as you can see, that has all my buttons for controlling the live stream. including my BIOS that James loves so much, pre-stream chat, the screen we're on now, the end of stream, my microphone controls, and my other screens for difficulties and going away. It's even more annoying that I forgot to put it up, because it is going here, where it's nice and easy to reach. So it shall be on the wall, just there, with me able to access everything. And I want the cable to go behind the wall. That's the whole point of the fake wall. Which means I need to work out, I need to drill a hole through here to put the cable through and run the cable behind that wall all the way along till it gets to the end here, so that I can plug it into the laptop. No terrier whistle button. No, there is no terrier whistle button. Well, hey, there we go. Linny donated £5. Yeah, £5 to get the terrier whistle. Interestingly, it says $5 in the chat, but £5 in the donation box. So, yeah. Of course. Well done, Streamlabs. Thank you for the donation, Linny. It does help keep the channel running. It does help pay for me to have a studio. So I genuinely do spend the money on the channel. To answer your earlier question, yes, I was under the layout. Fair enough, James. I'm glad everyone wants to see it. So I will get the last few bits done in here tomorrow, and I will get a video done of a tour. And I'll film the video on the portable camera, not this camera, so this camera can appear in the video. Yes, I did just time that carefully. I assumed as much, and I'm very impressed by it. I've got some good tiny brushes, used them to touch in an SCRP class I was working on. My large brushes are getting old, so I'll take a look on eBay tomorrow. Well, yeah, as I say, I found these on there. I was really happy with them. I've been using them for quite a while now, and none of them have gone bad. Like, so my size 2 that I use for most, you can tell I use it for most things because it's lost all its lettering, has started to go. But for the price, I'm okay with that. And I only use it for blotching in big areas now. Seems that you could just put the wires behind the noteboard. Yeah, but this isn't screwed on yet. That's not necessarily staying where it is. What I might have to do is unscrew the wall and lean it forwards so I can run the cables behind and then screw the wall back up. Which is a lot more work than it sounds now that it's got a workbench screwed to it. Yeah. I know. I built this rather solidly, so the workbench is attached to this wall. As you know, as you can see, the shelves are clearly attached through this wall. There's a screw here. So the workbench is the same. And yeah, it is all big blooming timbers like this. Everything is made of this stuff. There's my light switch for my under shelf lighting. All glued in place so that you don't get shadows on the shelf. That is the level of care I went to. And obviously that light there, this pole is its pole, which is inside this batten here. So it's all rather solidly built and all rather integral to each other. So taking it apart a bit to do something is not easy. Someone well once said hindsight is 360 degrees. Not let it die. Of course, the bench also has legs at the front, and if we spin that way, this light, so this is the pole for the other light, which goes down and is inside this leg. Good evening, Richard. How are you? I hope you are doing well. I am very well, thank you. Just showing off the new studio. Oh, and of course, eventually, at some point, I have to put filler over these screws and paint this unit, which is where the spray booth will be on top of. Which, of course, much to James' disappointment, will not be mauve. But I do have to build a new spray box now, because my current spray booth is a cardboard box, and it really, well, with a fan and stuff attached to it, and that really doesn't seem appropriate for this studio. Okay, thank you. Make sure I have everything sorted for the house move tomorrow. Well, I hope the house move goes very well for you, Richard. I'm glad to hear you are well. Can you drop the cable downwards and across beneath the bench? In theory, yes, but I'm trying to avoid visible cables wherever possible. The only ones on display that are permanent are those two power cables there, and even those loop into the bench to get rid of their slack, and this one in fact goes down and is this cable here. So I'm really trying to avoid all visible cables. Those walls do also extend all the way to the floor, which is carpeted in this work in the studio, unlike the laminate in the living room, because that helps with the echo dampening. That is the only reason it's done. So yes, I could do that, but it's another thing I'm trying to avoid, because I'd still have the cable going down the wall. I will come up with something. And in fact, yeah, to point out just how much I'm trying to hide cables. See, on this, as it came, that hole there is where the cable originally came from. I removed that and drilled a new hole in the back. So I had to unsolder the cable so I could run it through there to keep it hidden. How does the new studio compare to your old layout for the streams? It's amazing, Richard. It is amazing. So we've got, the laptop is right next to me now, so I can actually type and touch and do stuff on the laptop. I've got the workbench extending right round in an L shape. I've got a shelf above it. I've got a shelf below it. Let's flick that power off. And I've got massive lights. So that is one. There is another on the other side. See, the boom for the microphone is built in, so I've got the microphone directly in front of me. Turn that light back on. So there's the bottom of the other light. I've got, that's over here, if we swing past the light. This is where my airbrush booth is going to be, so we can do spraying on camera. In fact, that cardboard box up there is my airbrush ready to go, and I've got the 3D printer, is that red thing there, and then on that side is the UV curing station. That's all going to have proper ventilation to it, so that I've got the 3D printer and everything in here as well. So yeah, it's a fantastic setup, and it's not in my living room, which is nice. It's got its own room now. The live stream has a home. This is pack of 6 brushes I get for £5. Pack of 6 Royal and Painting Kids Choice Deluxe Detail brushes. YouTube won't let you post links, so yeah, YouTube sucks like that. It's supposed to let you. Looks very nice. It'd be nice to see you do more things on the stream now. Thank you, Richard. Yes, it will be great. Hey, yeah, look, I went so far with this redo that I have repainted my clamp, so it's not got lots of paint chips anymore. It's all nice and neat, and it is in Oak Hill blue. I was tempted to print off some little terrier transfers to stick on the side of it, but I never quite went that far. Oh, and where I've been using extension leads for everything, Richard, I now have plug sockets all over the place. And before you worry about these cables poking out here, they are going up to my LEDs under here. So I've got, because the shelves have lighting under them as well. Because, you know, lighting everywhere. I know when we do lens, that's why I just copy and paste the title for easy Googling. Fair enough, Thomas. Some dedication. Yeah, that's the level I went to. That's not nice looking, not as messy. Exactly, that is the aim, is to have everything kept very nice and organised. And never get messed up. In theory. Are we painting tender wheels next? Yes, I believe we are, because I can't get the bottoms of the frames off to get them out, so I'm going to have to do that separately, probably with some warm water or such, because they are only glued, he says. So yes, we are indeed painting those. So yes, thank you, Richard. I am very happy with the new studio. I am very happy with how it's come together. It has taken me rather a long time to get to this stage. I started work towards the... I directly started work towards the studio in December. Don't use too warm water. I learned that the hard way. But I do want to use too warm water. I'm trying to break the glue and get it off. So too warm water is what I want. Not sure if I've mentioned this one of British Coach Rise last week. They are really nice. Excellent. I am very glad to hear that. I have here, finally, after finding it, a North British 6-wheel brake that I was sent for. Look, there's my face again. North British 6-wheel brake that I was sent to review, along with many others. I suggest a small pot or paint palette to store tiny components in, stop them rolling off the desk or getting knocked. Yeah, I've got some of those somewhere, Linny. New studio looks good. Hello, Keith. Thank you very much. You'll get a proper look at it tomorrow night, because I'll be doing the Skype from in here as well. Because I'm not moving the camera and everything to do that elsewhere. So was I at time, but Henry melted. Yeah, I'm not going to melt this. This is metal, Thomas. So I do like the board, the back wall, to show us the local project you're working on. Yeah, that is the idea of that pin board. I'm not 100% on where it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be here, but it's probably going to be slightly higher up. But yeah, that is what it will hopefully be used for. I have to go up the wooden horse and say goodnight, stay safe, take care. Yeah, okay, good night, Bob. Thank you for coming. has been good to help you here, and somehow I have just turned on the Google Assistant on my phone. I don't think I said OK Google. Yeah, it came on that time as I expected it to. Looking forward to being able to take a picture on my coach.
Okay.
Shut up, you stupid phone. Looking forward to being able to take pictures of coaches behind North British Glenn Douglas model. All very nice. I will look forward to seeing pictures of that. So yes, how are you this evening, Keith? I hope you are well. It's very good to have you here. Our pre-grouping found on RM web, so be interested to see your thoughts on the six-wheelers. Ah, excellent. Good to know who you are, Matt. Yes, I've not had chance to have a look at the six-wheelers yet. They arrived with me Wednesday, and of course by then I was working on here flat out. But I also had my COVID vaccine on Wednesday, which left me feeling rather ill on Thursday. So I lost a lot of time to that as well. Which is why things like the decorative bits in here haven't been done yet. But yeah, I have a few of the six-wheelers here that I've been sent to review. Not in any sponsored way, they will be as honest a review as I did of the four-wheelers. But they are not mine, and they'll be going back afterwards. I've not even had them out of the box to have a look at them yet. I was waiting for that, Alex. The non-Stroudley baggage isn't one of the lit cars, is it? No, I don't have any of the lit ones, and none of the ones I have been sent are lit ones either. Were you planning on getting any Hatton six-wheelers? Yes, there are Hatton six-wheelers on my list. I will be getting them in South Eastern Chatham livery. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, the six-wheel ones. I'm only getting 4 of the Hatton's carriages at the moment. I might change my mind and get more, but at the moment I'm planning on 4. I think it was 2 brakes, a third and a composite that I've got. And I will be aiming to do as big a review on them as I did on the Hornby ones, but obviously there won't be drawings to compare them to because they're not based on anything. I had my jab last week and banging headache the next day. Oh, I was so ill the day after the jab. It was like having the flu, but only lasted the day, thankfully. Thinking of SR 6-wheel full brake for a local parcels train. Yes, I very much intend on having a 6-wheel full brake from Hatton Stud, because the full brake is a must. So anyway, all of mine are the lit ones, are nice, but the main problem with them is paint bleed. Yeah, some of the pictures I've seen on RM Web of the lit ones, I was not impressed. Had to leave my comment on the review video. Sad truth that you really can't say anything negative about Hornby without being piled on by the fans. Did you actually get piled on by fans? I never saw that. I would have just deleted their comment. In fact, Alex, you realise that as a moderator, you can delete comments off my videos as well. Sorry, I meant light bleeding. Yeah, I knew what you meant, Richard. But yeah, you could have just deleted all their comments. You do have the ability to do that. I disapprove of headaches, but approve of your vaccinations. Yes. Whilst I felt horrendous after the vaccination, it was worth every moment of it. Do get vaccinated. The side effects are worth it. Your four-wheeler review is excellent, so I'm curious to see how close they match the drawings. Thank you, Matt. I put so much effort. Like, that video took me well over 12 hours to produce. I put a whole day into researching that. I literally, a full 8-hour work day went into researching those coaches. Alex, you have excellent parties for Aeropart. Yeah, for my ML train, didn't know that. Well, now you do, Alex. Yes, after Matt Wickham's comment, which was fair, I had someone rather more fervent in their Hornby defence. That was sucky. Which vaccine did you get? The Oxford one or the one that I can't spell that starts with a P? Yeah, I got the Oxford one, not the Pfizer one. They gave me a little card to say, you are vaccinated, with the date and everything on it. And I'm apparently not allowed to lose that card. And I will need it for my second jab. Which I find rather worrying, because it's like, you need to keep this, so we've got all your details for your next jab. Thinking, are you not keeping a record of what jabs you're giving people? I mean, unless you started saying that Hornby has always been the worst company for existence, I don't see why people would jump on you for your opinion. But welcome to the internet, Thomas. You must be new here. Oh, pretty fair now. Oxford, yeah. So, see, Oxford all round. In fact, look, there is my card. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine given to me on the 17th. And no, I don't much care if you will see what batch number I got. Why would that be important? I learned for many years on RM web and working on Mod Railway Shop, you're not allowed to have anything but glowing praise for the Messiah. It's very true. There are a lot of people out there who get very upset if you say anything negative about Hornby. Hopefully to get mine soon as I'm asthmatic. Yes, hopefully you get it soon. Oh no, we're running out of the hydration refills. That's an empty bottle, but hydration is important. Far from, but yeah, very far from perfect, Thomas. Very, very far. Although their taste in pre-grouping carriages is not far from perfect. So, next steps, whilst we're here, we've got the number plates. By the same merit, you can't fit back one because Blue Box is bad, apparently. Yeah, I've never understood why people always say Bachmann are bad. I mean, the jokes about their shipping times, fine, I get that, I make those same jokes. But that's just because they were announcing early, rather than actually taking forever to do stuff. Actually, we want the other one, I've grabbed the wrong one, there we go. Hornby have made the J36, so they're good in my book. But in all seriousness, I do think Hornby have made some amazing models over the past few years. They certainly have. Unfortunately, From what I can tell, there is a drop in their quality and research recently, and their ex-researcher seems to very much agree with that, and it looks like that is why he left, is because of things they were doing internally. So we have some matte 25 for the blue of the number plates, which is very much blue, as you can see on Gladstone there. Because Batman isn't Hornby, it's not what I grew up with. I mean, I wish you were wrong, but you're not, are you? Really, Batman are arguably better than Hornby though. The only thing they really lack in his bearings, but that's one thing. Yeah, Batman are definitely better quality-wise, detail-wise, attitude-wise. When Simon returns, you can see that he wants to make models that people want, but other times, yeah, it's not fair when other companies plan things. So, to address that slightly, could they be joking about Batman America, because that's an entirely different story? No, it's not, Javier. So, Hornby and the duplication myth. It is a myth. No matter how much we want to dig at Hornby for their recent duplicating everything, the two good examples I can give that everyone will agree with are the Terrier and the four-wheel pre-grouping coaches. And I can't hold that against anyone. I can totally see why you have a problem with Hornby doing those things. However, the Terrier was already reasonably far on in development before the Rails Dapol one was announced. The TV show did not show this because that wouldn't make good TV. But that was the case. It was going to be released under the Oxford Rail brand, which of course is now controlled by Hornby. And was brought in-house to the Hornby brand to compete with the Rails Dapol one. But it did already exist before the announcement of the other new tooled one. They played it up for the TV, and they were still really pathetic about it, you know. But both sides did their bit of being childish about it. I didn't know this. How did you find out this information? I have my ways. Some of it has been officially confirmed publicly, others I cannot discuss my sources. People are accusing Curascale of duplication with the manor, even though it's clear they started before Dapol announced theirs. Yeah, Curascale started before Dapol announced theirs. But again, what exactly is the relationship between Oxford and Hornby now? Hornby own Oxford. I don't think Hornby officially own the brand, but of course is he CEO? I want to say CEO is his official title. Of Hornby is the majority shareholder of Oxford. He might just be managing director. That could be his title. But I'm sure they've got a board with a CEO. But either way, the boss of Hornby is Lyndon Davies, who is the owner of Oxford Rail. And Oxford has since then become a brand of Hornby rather than its own separate company. I'm not sure how it stands officially on paper, because they did promise they wouldn't merge the companies. But they do work closely together, they share resources, they operate as one company now, with Oxford Rail essentially being Hornby Railroad quality. So it's not like Airfix now got their phone. No, it's not like Airfix and such. Surely it was Oxford Rail that bought Hornby. I'm sure I've seen that somewhere. No. Lyndon Davies was bought in. Hornby's much bigger company. Remember, Hornby includes Airfix, Humber, LCA Electric. Yeah. Oxford do not own Hornby. Hornby is big enough that it was able to go to Oxford and say, we want your boss to be our boss, but he can also still be your boss. As long as Oxford keep making decent wagons for cheap prices, I'll be happy. That seems to be where it's heading, is Oxford is going to get a lot of the budget stuff. Oxford Rail better than Railroad, surely. It doesn't seem to be that that's the way it's going, James, unfortunately. Just wish people weren't quite so blind to scummy things Hornby do. Working in the industry is eye-opening. Yeah, there is a lot of it. Look for Steampunk Oxford in a few years. Yeah. Hornby are owned by a massive hedge fund. Absolutely massive hedge fund own Hornby. But they are, thankfully, one of the very few hedge funds that seems to take a really active interest in making sure its brands do well. A lot of hedge funds leave the brands they own to do what they want, and then if things go bad, they asset strip them. That is not what the company that owns Hornby do. They do take a real interest in making sure the companies they own are performing well. I would say also wagons are much better than railroad quality. Yes, but they date from before the new working arrangement. I don't want to call it a merger because it's not. Can't believe those Hornby Steampunk nominated those awards. Makes me feel sick to see. I reckon Hornby nominated them themselves several times over. Tended by the Oxford World One Railgun, as well as the Adams Radial tank. What are your views on these, please? I have an Oxford Adams Radial. I think it's great. I do not have a Hornby one to compare it to, but I do like my Oxford Radial. How old is this new working arrangement? Not very. Like the Terrier would have been the first thing, would have been the first Hornby thing released by Oxford. So it's not a very old arrangement at all. But anyway, to continue on the point, the carriages. Now, a lot of people have jumped on Hornby. I like my Oxford Rail, they probably wouldn't have bought it brand new at RRP. I did, and I was still happy with it. I compared the two when they were in the shop. Honestly, cannot say the Hornby one was noticeably better. Fair enough, there we go. So, yeah, the carriages. Obviously, Hornby have been jumped on quite badly for releasing these pre-grouping 4 and 6 wheel carriages in the light of Hatton's also doing so. Of course, Hornby were planning them before the Hatton's announcement, and in fact the Hatton's ones were announced October 2019. In November 2019, Hornby were at the Bluebell measuring up the Stroudley carriages. So, you know, by the time the Hatton's project had been announced, Hornby had gone through the initial decision phases and had already booked to measure up prototype carriages. That is how far along the line they were when Hatton said, we're releasing generic pre-grouping carriages. And Hornby went, oh. Because at the time, Hornby's plan was prototypical LB&SCR Stroudley carriages. That is what they were going to release. Then they were not going to be in any way generic, which Hornby have tried to avoid, but they also haven't, because their video on them very much called them that, unfortunately. That was Simon's doing, blame Simon. So that is why the Hornby ones are so Brighton, is because that's what they were originally meant to be. However, and initially, obviously, Hattons did not announce Brighton livery. With the coaches, I didn't use Hornby's copying Hattons. I said the way they've done it leaves a nasty taste in my mouth. Yeah, but you're not the only one here, Alex. A lot of people have accused Hornby of copying Hattons. And, yeah, so, when the Hattons ones picked up a massive interest, despite being generic, and also had Brighton livery added to them, Hornby said, well, if they can, we can, and decided to scrap doing prototypical Brighton stock and do something more generic in multiple liveries. They also made sure to take the time to announce them and release them right on top of each other, which of course is why they were announced, 2 months ago, and most of them are now in the hands of, well, not even 2 months ago, most of them are now in the hands of the end consumer, because they were sat in the factory, they were sat in the warehouse, ready to ship the day they were announced, so that they could announce them and get them out there before Hattons. Which is a clever strategy. I'm not sure I like it, but it's clever. By more generic, you mean change the handrails. On the four-wheelers, sort of, yes. But no, they were going originally for a full prototypical rake, so the baggage brake wouldn't have been stretched. It would have been the right length. The six-wheelers would not have been Billington sides on Stroudley ends. They would have been proper Brighton carriages. So it did affect the end product, unfortunately. And, you know, in my opinion, it affected it negatively. But that's because I'm a Brighton modeller. I still would not use these for any other railway, personally. I can see why people would, and I can see where the similarities for, say, the Stroudley end and the North British end are, and how it could easily be reworked, to make a more North British looking end. So I think that's, you know, there's a good case there. It's not something I personally would do, but I can see why others would. According to the North British Railway Study Group, the MBR coaches livery ones are pretty accurate with lining and livery application. I mean, so I've got the North British one here in front of me. There's my face again, look at that. And it is really, really nice looking. I cannot fault the look of that. It's absolutely fantastic. Hornby have put a lot of effort into getting the liveries right on these. In some cases, such as the LNER ones, it doesn't look great because they've gone for LNER style square lining on rounded panels, and I'm not a fan of how it's come out looking, but they've done a, you know, they have done a great job on the liveries. Yeah, definitely. So, I thought Hornby announced Noodle 9F was another tit-for-tat move. Batman 9S still lovely models, been popular models for years. Unfortunately, I don't know anything for the 9Fs, so I can't say anything for definite, but yeah, I don't see why they did it. So basically Hornby were threatened because their product would have been a touch redundant. No, I think they were more excited by the fact they could sell even bigger numbers rather than threatened. Plan to review, but I'm not sure if I should. Go for it. So I will, you know, now that I've got a box full of these, and it really, you know, I'm not kidding, I have a box full. I have a box full of six-wheelers to review, so I will also be reviewing them. But I would love to see a review from a North British person's are very deep and the end's very shallow. Does that match the prototype? I want to say yes. Everything matched really well. We have an outage. Do we have an outage? Can anyone... Has the stream frozen? Oh no. I can't see. Oh, I'm back, so I can talk to you again. I saw no issues whatsoever there. I've got nothing come up as faults. Chat was still ticking by. Everything looked like it was fine. That's annoying. So, let's scroll back up to where we were. Have they? That sounds like a terrible choice, says Alex. What was that about, Alex? It was long enough ago that I didn't get it. Oh, don't tell me it's gone again. Please don't have gone again. I'm hoping it's... Oh, the LNER lining. Yeah, that was a terrible choice. I do not see why they would have done that, personally. Still here for people, so it's just James that's gone this time. Okay, that's better. It's not ideal. But I'm glad it's not everyone. So, we have now a string on a string... Spinny thing of doom back there. There we go. Right, who was truly first with designs and whether they were genuinely trying to outdo Rails. Hornby had the design, had the loco in progress before Rails/Dapol announced it. But neither knew of each other's projects until that announcement. So no one was first, and no one was... I mean, they were trying to outdo each other, because of course they were. But none of it was true. I'll need my North British coach book from Lily to do my research on them. I will look forward to it happening, Richard. So I would really love to see that review from your point of view. To see that, and I'd love to see the ends you are having done up for them as well, to show how easily they can be modified to be closer to prototype. I'm planning on getting either the LB&SCR first or third. Get them all, Heritage Railway Productions. I got all of the LB&SCR ones and they are all fantastic. Except the baggage brake. But they're still fantastic. Back on here, that's fine. These still here, fine too. I wonder if they might use the LNER lining for the Hornby Railroad teaks. Yeah, who knows, maybe. Haven't had a stab at the six wheel yet. I'm getting malicious waltz stitched around the ends. No, I have these six wheelers in a box. They are not mine. They are only here for review purposes. Update the teaks. Yeah, it would be nice if they did. Try and pass over and pass through. So much of these situations be avoided if manufacturers actually talk to each other rather than act like enemies, but that's his business, I suppose. Yeah, they're not allowed to do that, Alex. There are actual laws preventing that. Well, from March it'll be a lot easier now we're living in Edinburgh. That will indeed make it easier. So rails were being saucy about it for no reason. Makes me glad design issues and problems that I'll never get any of their terriers. What six-wheel coaches do you have? I have, see, the six-wheel brake third. I have a regular third-class carriage. I have a first class. I think that's all I've got. There's another first, there's another third, and there is another third. So I've got 3 designs to look at, which are the brake third, the first and the third. I do not have the lavatory first. Well, it seems a bit harsh, especially as Hornby treat retailers like guardrails. My back end. Yeah, I agree with Alex, that is a bit harsh. Are they all North British livery? No, they are not. If I show this one, some people might recognise these and know where I got them from. But they're definitely not in North British. There is a chance they were once upon a time, but they're not anymore. Hydration is important. If you like, I have one that I could send you to review. Oh, really? I would very much like that, because I do believe the lavatory first is the closest to an actual Brighton prototype. So that would be excellent if you could, Richard, if you don't mind. Better sign off now. Join us Monday morning tomorrow. Stay safe, all of you. Thank you for coming, Alexander. Sleep well. Those are Alex S's, aren't they? She's repainting the messes here. They are indeed the good Lady Pullman Alex's, and they are not SECR. They are Umber, and they shall be returning to her fitted with Brighton Brighton grab rails. I know who made that. Yeah, see, I knew some people would know it. That one feels like the airbrush one. Do agree rails should not have used the word pedigree, but they are far from alone in doing stuff like that. Yeah, their wording of their promotional stuff was over the top. But I'm not glad things went wrong for them. I meant this is based pedigree thing age though, but knowing they got annoyed at something being done before they knew it just makes me feel better about the decision. But they didn't know at the time that Hornby had already announced it. Were already doing it. As far as they were concerned, Hornby had announced it to annoy them. It does have the light as well, so that'd be interesting. Ah, that would be very interesting then, Richard. Yes. That would be very interesting indeed. That and the issues I've heard with the mechanisms and the unsightly gaps in the cab that aren't easily filled and painted over. Well, I hate to say it, but that's what happens when you work with Dapol as your manufacturer. That would be why that one's not bouncing about at all. That one needs some white spirit. There's no noise coming from that because it's solid. I was about to say that is the biggest mistake Rails made. Yeah. If you want to commission good locos, don't commission them from Rails. From Dapol. Not going to have things went wrong, there's never my fault, it's just the way that they went around the whole thing that got to me. Don't want them losing money from others. Well, so I don't think it was their fault they got like that. I'd have been upset from the situation they were presented. People seem very unkind to Dapol. They're not perfect, but their engaged class 50s are excellent. Yeah, but none of their 00 gauge stuff is. They can't even make wagon wheels that work properly. How do you mess up the wheels? Batman Rapido, for example, would have made amazing terriers. They would have done. Mesh me later on, we talked about sending coach to you. Excellent, thank you, Richard. That would be really good to get the whole batch in a review. I'd really appreciate that. Especially as that is the one that is supposedly closest to an LB&SCR design. Apparently quite closely matching a Stroudley lavatory first, but is slightly too long. But having not actually played with them, I don't know. Try dealing with their 00 stuff. Exactly, Alex. Delivery can be slightly off sometimes. Though Japanese stick to O&N, not. Oh, I suppose at least it wasn't Helgen that made them. Batman Terriers would be true pedigree. Yes, they would. To be fair, Dapol B4 was good. I think Dapol downsized the O-gauge Terrier drawings, which wasn't the right decision. No, because the Dapol O-gauge Terrier was also wrong. It had many issues with it. So the idea of downsizing that was a terrible one. But you are correct, that is what they did. They were improved. I know someone who was involved with the project, and they did a lot to improve it and corrected a lot of issues that it otherwise would have had because of how Dapol were going about it. So, you know, it could have been worse. Let's at least give them some credit there. Unfortunately, they didn't correct as much as I think they should have. Very happy with the Dapol stuff I have. That is good. I am glad to hear that you are happy with it. I am very happy with my O-gauge Terrier. I overlook the issues on it because it's an O-gauge Terrier that I wasn't getting otherwise. But that's just me. It's fun to play with the lights on the model. I'm sure it is. I am definitely going to look forward to being able to play with one of the lit ones. I'm glad I didn't get them from the issues I've seen, but that doesn't mean I don't want to have a play with them. So only one Dapol rod I want, and it's toggling that went to Hornby anyway. Fair enough. That's where the unsightly cab roof joint came from. It is indeed, and it's just as unsightly on the O-gauge ones. Dapol issues short, double O list, 68 misprinted size, refusing to acknowledge the problem for months, 121s with underframe details that weren't stuck on, GWR rail cars, dodgy electrics, Terrier, the D-class livery samples, GWR Mowgli's good Olive Alex, and back to the water towers. Yeah, the water towers as well. GWR O-gauge Dapol stuff. Does anyone know where to get spare Ginty Conrod screws? I do not. Yeah, that was a fun one, that. They had to recall all their motorised water towers because they were really good quality. I'd forgotten about that. The way they're doing the lining on the D-Class annoys me, because they're tampo printing down the front of the cab, and then the lining just stops because the tampo printer can't get into the curve very well. It would, if they moved the model in the machine, it would be able to do it, but they don't want to do that. So that is gonna, yeah, to me that is gonna really stand out. I will be buying, if I get one, because of course I've got my D-Class that's going to be far superior to theirs. Inside working motion. So if I get one, I will have to be fixing that. First back to my water towers were recalled poor circuit boards, things on blew out. Who could forget sparking water towers? Water tower issue was incorrect to specify capacitor, I believe. I do think you're right, James. When Dapol get things right, it's great. When there's a problem, But the problem is it's a case of when. Yeah. Try DC supplies for dapole spares. There you go. That's an answer to that question. One has to choose one's models, I suppose. I wonder why they're engaged fewer problems than they're double O. Yeah, it's an odd one. Let's hope the update delivery samples show improvement. After all, it's been a few months since we saw the first one. Yeah, but they did confirm they won't be fixing the lining on the front of the cab. That is something they said. They said, no, we are not doing that. And that it does really stand out to me. That's very fine brushwork there. Thank you, James. Does it look just as fine close up? Of course, I'm going with the fact I have to get the lining round for these splashers here. Yeah, I running valid with both my dapple gauge items on my 08. The light connectors found on my Gintia Conrod screw went missing without me knowing. Shame I don't have anywhere to run my coaches. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll be able to get back to a new normal. That would be fantastic if we could. But yes, not having somewhere to run things is indeed a shame. I suppose we can't all be me and have 7 layouts. Don't know so much about O-gauge. Waiting for years for a D-class. Now one is coming. I have no hope for it. Dapple N-gauge models have better pickups than Farish Backman models. Interesting. They use pinpoint pickups, whereas Farish use wiper. Oh, that's... I like that idea. They said they physically couldn't do lining, even though all other manufacturers would be able to. Surely, lovely locomotive, even few imperfections, proof having 7 layouts. Yes, 7 layouts is a good number of layouts. And they didn't say it was physically impossible. They said they can't do it for an acceptable price. Which I think is a reasonable argument. I'm just not sure I believe it. So I'm currently having to use a 9-volt battery. Yeah, that's not the most ideal situation, is it? They even use pinpoint pickups and carriages, allowing full light and minimal resistance on full-length HSTs. Oh, that's really cool, James. No, I really like that idea. Farish carriages have no provision for lighting. Well, who can blame them? Seen the job Hornby did with their lighting. Hydration is important, even only 10 minutes before the end. So at least we chance Everone will love despite the imperfections, unless one wants to renumber the Umber one, it seems. I'm not sure I can call their Terrier model lovely with the number of issues I've seen it have. And the number of returns. People having to return it 4 or 5 times in some cases. That does not meet my definition of lovely. Unfortunately. So why would I pay so much loco with imperfections when the equivalent one from Backman Rapido wouldn't have them? Well, yeah, exactly, and it would cost the same as well. Annoyingly, DC supplies have the com rods themselves, not the screws. Yeah, they have the Terrier ones. I bet the Terrier ones are the same screws. It's not the best, but I'll be looking to saving up, get a decent controller. I approve of saving up for a decent controller. It's much better to save up and get a good one than to buy a cheap one for the sake of rushing it. Not a fan of battery lighting. I want to control lighting by DC to integrate it with my automation. I fully agree. I'm not a big fan of the idea of battery lighting, but I understand it where it would have its advantages on DC, for example. You can probably still get them. That's true, Alex. Raven Breed have not in fact made one. This supplies usually very helpful, so I have to live with it. You only need one controller after all, but it has to control all of your logos. Exactly, Lily. Anyway, I'm going to make a D class that's better than the Dapper one, so that's the one that matters. And in fact, you've seen me make most of it. We're just going to go back and do a few chassis redesigns so we can have inside work in motion. It's not going to have the motor gearbox combo I originally wanted, because that would get in the way of the inside work in motion. Not sure if I should save up for a better soldering iron first rather than a controller. It depends where your priorities lie. You can get a good soldering iron for 60-ish quid, I think is what this one actually was. I don't know for definite, but it is nice. That's new to me. Before I folks, Gladstone LRM. Frames are black, but the front springs under the frames are IEG. Where'd they get that idea from? God knows. It's my answer to that. That is a new one on me. They obviously couldn't decide what colour they were meant to be, so they decided to go with both. I've got like 7 kits I want to build, so I think I should focus on those. Yeah, that makes sense. I say, honestly, Richard, since I started doing kit building, and especially white metal, I very much enjoy the building more than the operating. Operating comes into its own at an exhibition when there's an audience, which I suppose kind of explains the YouTube channel as well. First I thought it was tricky light, but no, bright and clear enough for photos. That's really weird. Just doing the Marshall OGHD close to 2.8k worth of brass and insulation. I did. It was absolutely stunning. I know someone that's got one. Who says it was well worth the money. Didn't you just do one of each number so each model is unique? I believe so, yes, Alex. When I be a part of my Scott kit with Linny, I was really impressed with what I'd achieved and what I want, and I want to do it again. Yeah, and it's great, isn't it? I absolutely love it. Like, even this, lining out the edges of this in olive, that to me is better than operating. Because I can sit here and be really satisfied with that, and I can look at it and I love it. As far as I know, there's only 60, a few duplicates, 737 I think. I mean, that would be the one to duplicate, wouldn't it? It's going to be the most popular one. Selfie's looking awesome, bud. Thank you, Alex. So I am really happy with how this is going. 7, yeah. Yes, Linny. It's a nice feeling when you get satisfaction that it's your model you made. Exactly. And so this is, to me, better than playing with a layout. Which is, of course, one of the reasons why there are so few running videos on my channel. I don't want to say there are none. There are none since I started doing YouTube properly, and not just as a place for hosting videos that I would post on RNWeb. But if you go back to those very early days, there are running videos. They're not very long, they're not edited, they've got the kids talking in the background. Very much not like what I have now. But looking forward to building my Cannonade 439 tank engine, just not sure what livery should go in. I will be looking forward to seeing that. I like a 439 tank, they are very nice. Off note, the lining went right up to the edge of the coupling rod splashers with no green edge below. The lining went right up to the edge of the coupling rod splashers. Oh yeah, so it does. Never mind. I've done it now. Too late. Send this supplies an email saying if bolts are interchangeable, and if they aren't, also how. No, the Terrier one's been shown in the wrong section. There's always Wargame much preferred in models dash plane. Wargame there was green along the bottom of the splasher where it meets the running plate. Yes, yeah, I'm aware of that. Hopefully you hear that soon. Indeed, hopefully you do. And there is a smash for the like button. That means we've only got 3 minutes left. Covered by the transfer anyway. Indeed it is. It'd be nice to see more running videos from yourself, Gary, even if kids talking in the background. Well, one day. I have promised running videos, but it's getting round to filming them, in all honesty. I might have 7 layouts, but 2 of them are not at a stage yet where things can run on them. One of them takes up the whole of my kitchen to go up and be used. One of them doesn't work at all. One of them's the 009, which is rather brilliant in every aspect. One of them is a photo plank and isn't planned for anything to run on it. So it's getting round to it. DC supplies 10 minutes up the road from me. I had to go there to get my replacement Dapel 68 body with a fixed printed. Ah, that's awesome, being close. I think my Dremel's broken or rather worn out. Oh no, that's not good. I'm not sure that's even proper. Oh, I didn't know you had James. All these nice logos, it'd be lovely to. Yeah, I will have to. As I say, I will definitely do some at some point. I don't want to say when, but I will do it. And remember, once upon a time, I used to frequently say, one day I would move the live stream into a proper recording studio that would be purpose built and not just a workbench in the corner of my living room. And as of tonight, we are in that recording studio. So these things do happen eventually, even if they take 2 years. And we have just hit midnight. I approve of 009. 009 is great, isn't it? 009 best scale, I see what you think, game scale, whatever, yeah. Fortunately, using proper Dremel spanner to tighten it allows it to work. You have it, looks rather lovely. I'm loving it, Richard. I approve of recording studios. It's the best place. These things eventually happen, even if they take 2 years. It sounds like my layout. And yes, it is indeed midnight, but look, I don't want to leave it with this one not having the olive round the edge. So I'm going to continue just to get this done we won't. It'll be fine being a couple of minutes late. And yes, as Richard says, happy Monday, everyone. It's a nice way to see in the new week. We're ignoring the fact that it's not half term anymore and I have to get the kids up for schooling in the morning, so that we can get this finished. And then next week we can do a bit more on this. We will return to the invalid saloon once I have brass for the roof. That is why we've gone on to this tonight, is because I didn't have brass to make the roof with. So that will return. And there we go. That's that cab side done. But you won't paint the western. Darn you, Linny. There we go, the Western House pump is painted. Right then, let's look back up the chat and see what I missed. Sproof 009, that's very Gladstone-y. Thank you, James. Good morning, everyone. Edge. Happy new week. You won't pay the Western House pump. Done it now, money. Although it doesn't say the word Elgin and Manning Wardles. Although don't say the words Elgin and Manning Wardles in the same sentence to me, nightmares will happen. Well, I'm hoping to have a Manning Wardle that will possibly be a kit, maybe, at some point from me. Looks great, Gary. Thank you, Andy. I disapprove of having to get up early. It happens. So, oh yes, I still think the invalid saloon need a Persian carpet. It's not getting one. Scotland years 1, 2 and 3 are back to school tomorrow, and the last 3 years of high school are back to school as well. Are they? We've got no one going into school at the moment. Trick question, West House Pump didn't have any green. It does on this photo. That looks very green round it to me. Looking forward to getting a pair of Quarry Huntslets from Backman eventually. Ah, yes, definitely. They will be fantastic when they come. Gosh, that was elaborate line. It'll be even more elaborate when the transfers go on. Does look just brilliant now. Thank you, Javier. Oh yes, these are going to be fantastic. B1 looks stunning. Thank you. It's very non-Gladstone B1-y. It is, isn't it? You're right, Lily. Zara for South Sea looking marvellous. Thank you, Alex. Looking very nice, Gary. Lovely model. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for streaming. Thank you for watching Irish Rail Productions. No, it doesn't. It's black with white and red lining. I'll take your word for it. Thank you for streaming the chat, Gary. It has been great to have you all here. I have really loved it. I hope you have loved it too. This is, of course, the first live stream from the new recording studio. I don't think I've mentioned that yet. But I have, it's been absolutely great to have you all join me to break in the studio and do the first project at the new workbench. I cannot wait to get back on with it next week with you all. And I do hope you'll join me then as we do a bit more to the Gladstone. But as for right now, it is now 5 past midnight. We have been live for 3 hours, 35 minutes and 40 seconds according to Streamlabs. How can I love seeing South Sea transformed? Well, I am glad you have loved it, Alex, and I'm glad it's meeting your standards. I hope you will enjoy it just as much when it is finished. Thanks to the stream, Gary. It's been great modelling, awesome as always. You've done lining very well. Thank you, guys. So yes, I've had a great time. I hope you have too. Just don't get near any bubbles. It's going nowhere. It will stay right here on the workbench. But it does not need to move between now and next week. Right, it's good to be in the studio. Thank you, Harry. So yes, thank you for watching, everyone. It's been absolutely great having you here. I have loved it. I hope you have too. I've been Gary. This has been Let's Build live from the new recording studio. You've been awesome. Good night.